Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us here today. I know you're giving up your valuable time for this event, and we're really happy to see so many colleagues and partners from across the UK and overseas. I'm Andrea Nicholas, the Chief Executive and founder of Green Tourism, and I'd like to welcome everybody to this virtual event to launch our new Green Meeting Standard. I'd also like to introduce our excellent panel of speakers. Aileen Crawford is from the head of the conventions at Glasgow Convention Bureau. Rory Archibald from Visit Scotland's business events team. Our own MD, Scott McLean from Green Tourism, and Aaron McKean, who's the sustainability champion from the Edinburgh International Conference Centre. I'm going to start by telling you a bit about ourselves, but more importantly, as we launch the Green Meeting Standard, I'd like to address what is changing in customer demand and behaviour post-COVID. And I want to talk to you about the importance sustainability has for you, your clients and your buyers, and how this new Green Meeting Standard is going to help you. The Green Tourism Programme was established 25 years ago, and we have over 2,500 certified businesses across the UK and internationally. And our commitment to caring for people, caring for places, and caring for our planet has been successfully developed into a supportive, flexible, and relevant framework of measures for businesses, including meetings and events venues, to reduce their environmental impacts while sustaining their business and engaging with customers. When we think about the impacts of the COVID pandemic, we all know that its effects on the meetings and events sector have been dramatic and traumatic. Events have been cancelled, postponed, or have moved online. Event organisers and venues have had to rethink how to deliver events and meetings digitally. Contract terms with suppliers, sponsors, exhibitors, and clients have had to be radically revised. And unfortunately, so many in the industry have made huge losses and struggled to survive, with the loss of skills, confidence, and continuity. So against this backdrop, why is the environment and a commitment to sustainability so important for conferences, meeting organisers, events venues, and conference destinations? Crucially, the COVID pandemic has thrown into sharp relief concerns about the environment, closely following health, medical, and social concerns. On a daily basis, we hear of our impact on the planet, plastics in the ocean, animal species and habitats under threat or being extinguished, mass population migrations, world temperature rises, depleted ice coverage, and so on. These are hugely important issues affecting all of us, and they will be the subject of the United Nations 26th Climate Change Conference in Glasgow this November. There's very little doubt now that climate change is the biggest priority for the planet. The argument now is what should we do and how quickly? For businesses, the question is not whether we should be interested in sustainability, social impact and governance, but what can I realistically do in and for my business? Consumers and your buyers' attitudes to green, sustainable and environmental issues have accelerated through COVID. The European Commission's consumer survey carried out in March this year shows that the impact COVID-19 has had on the increased popularity of greener options. 56% of consumers said environmental concerns influenced their purchasing decisions, and 67% said they bought products that were better for the environment, even if such products were more expensive. And 65% of global respondents to a poll by Ipsos Mori said that it is important that climate change is prioritised in the economic recovery after coronavirus. But what of your buyers and clients? The London Meeting Show organisers say that sustainability will be the top of the agenda post-COVID. Their survey of event professionals found that 73% believe that sustainability will return to the top of the agenda post-COVID, with 92% of them claiming sustainability is important or very important. And more than 2/3 said they already had a sustainability plan for their events or for their company. The majority of those surveys also said that they were hoping to further their knowledge in the area. Learning more about sustainable supply chains was top of their list, followed by reporting efforts to their audience and reducing their carbon footprint. In common with other sectors, consumers and buyers want to be reassured that the brands they buy from are to be trusted. Conference News reports that 75% of Americans believe how companies act now will impact their perceptions of those companies in the future. Globally, we see that 71% feel that if a brand is putting profit over people, they will lose trust in that brand forever. Our Green Meeting Standard is a sign to all buyers that you hold the environment and sustainability in the highest regard. We already have over 700 meetings and events venues certified to the Green Tourism Standard. Our new Green Meeting Standard we are launching today is specific and relevant for meetings and events venues, so they can demonstrate their sustainability credentials and provide reassurances to their markets and their buyers. So thank you for coming today to the launch, and I'd now like to introduce our first speaker, Aileen Crawford. Aileen is a long-time partner of Green Tourism and who has, with colleagues and partners, successfully positioned Glasgow as a leading destination for sustainable meetings and events. Aileen is Head of Conventions at the award-winning Glasgow Convention Bureau, responsible for the successful positioning of Glasgow as a conference destination for national and international association meetings. As a keen supporter of the meetings industry, Aileen has served as a board member for a number of meetings industry associations. So she's currently the lead for the Business Tourism Workstream within Glasgow's Tourism and Visitor Plan to 2023 and ICCA Destination Sector Co-Chair. For Aileen, collaboration is key. It's all about Glasgow's team approach. We're working together, building alliances, and successful partnerships benefit the client and ultimately enhance the delegate experience. Aileen, we're really delighted that you can be here with us today.
Thank you for that very kind welcome and very warm welcome, Andrea and team. It's great to see you and delighted to be with you all and friends and colleagues on the session and your launch today. And I'm really delighted to be here. I know that many of the Convention Bureau team have joined today as well, because green meetings are hugely important to our city. As I'm sure many of you know, we are that dear green place, which in Old Scots is the name of our city. And you'll all know Glasgow for the host of the UN Conference on Climate Change, fingers crossed, that will take place at the SEC this November. And I suppose looking back on the story of Glasgow and its Steam to Green story takes us over 5 years ago, when we were actually the first Convention Bureau to join the Green Tourism Accreditation, because we realised how important it was to our clients and our delegates that we were positioning ourselves and proving our own green credentials through this accreditation. So when we look back over those 5 years, I'm sure you've all noticed as well the increase from our clients asking for sustainable credentials from our venues, from our hotels, from our wider supply chain. So when we were looking to launch the People Make Glasgow Greener strategy, we were very much listening to the clients, and we were moving with those times, and we were delighted to see that the whole conversation around green meetings is at the launch that Green Tourism are doing today. When we look back on the People Make Glasgow Greener strategy, we were looking at business reasons why it was important to talk about our sustainable credentials. So we knew that clients were looking to be as sustainable at conference as they are at home. Their own members, our own delegates, were demanding it as well. So we had to listen to those clients and put in place opportunities for the clients to feel confident that they were being able to work with partner destination, partner venues that understood sustainable credentials, and ultimately supported them in their aims to make their own conference look good and look sustainable. So there's definitely the business method behind that. When we look at the conferences that come to our city, we focus predominantly on that association market, the academic meetings. We have medical life sciences as number one in the numbers of conferences, followed closely behind by those engineering conferences. But actually, the third most popular meetings that come to our city are in the key sector of low carbon and energy. So for a city like Glasgow to be able to welcome appropriately those key low carbon energy conferences, we needed to explain very clearly why those conferences should come to Glasgow and ultimately help us win future business in that hugely important key sector moving forward. And you can see that being part of the strategy at the Scottish Government level and local council level, we were aligning with our city and with our country. Glasgow City Council have come out and said that they are going to be carbon neutral by 2030. We're all talking about lowering the carbon emissions, and this is something that the Scottish Government and the city have been talking about for many years. And this has been cited as one of the fundamental reasons that the UN Conference on Climate Change is coming to Glasgow this November. So you can see the business really relating to the on the ground accreditation. So looking at the People Make Glasgow Greener strategy, working very closely with Green Tourism, the city was the first to join the Global Destination Sustainability Index. This is an index of sustainable tourism and event cities. Glasgow currently ranks 4th on that index of over 70 cities. And again, very much part of this positioning of our city as an appropriate host and a responsible destination for all conferences, as well as these low carbon and energy meetings that we've spoken about. And again, cited by the UN and cited by the UK government as one of the reasons that Glasgow was chosen to host the UN Conference on Climate Change. So you can see how strategy and business so closely align. And moving forward, very much part of the discussion and the I guess the promise that a destination can make to its suppliers and to the businesses as well is about how we articulate People Make Glasgow Greener. So on the glasgowconventionbureau.com website, there's opportunities there for clients and delegates to see how they can get involved with our sustainable story. So we look at how competitive we are going to be coming out of the pandemic. I think we can all appreciate that both nationally and internationally, as all of our destinations look to renew moving forward, we have to talk about our sustainable credentials, and all cities will be doing that. So being able to work with third-party accreditation is a great way to prove that you are walking the walk. And that's why we're so delighted to see the launch today of Green Meetings and hearing more from Andrea, Scott and the team about how they can take us all forward and move to that renewal and support our clients and delegates moving forward. So on that note, Andrea, good luck with everything today. Thank you for the invitation, and your friends and team in Glasgow wish you very well with the launch.
Thank you very much, Aileen. It's great to have been worked with you over many years, and I think it's just an indication of once you decide and start to put in place a sustainability strategy for a city and for a convention bureau, you can attract more business. And as I said in my intro, it's going to become a must-have, not a nice add-on. And congratulations to Glasgow for achieving what you have achieved. But and obviously, the eyes of the world is going to be on Glasgow in November. So thank you, Aileen. That was lovely. I'm now going to move on to our next speaker, who's Rory Archbold from Visit Scotland. Rory is Head of Association Sectors and Marketing in the Visit Scotland's Business Events Department. He also serves on the ICCA UK and Ireland Executive Committee. And before joining Visit Scotland, he had over 10 years experience working in the sector with leading venues. He's exceptionally well positioned to share with us the big picture trends associated with sustainability in our sector. So thank you for joining us today, Rory.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you very much, Andrea, and good afternoon, everyone. As I said, it's an absolute pleasure to be with you all this afternoon and for the launch of the Green Meeting Standard. Well, what a year. It has been an exceptional year in everybody's career, and I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm getting a little bit sick of the four walls I look at every day and cannot wait to meet as many of you as possible at face-to-face meetings, hopefully in the very near future. Despite COVID-19, climate change has and continues to be the #1 threat to our planet and to society. As our industry is very slowly starting to reawaken, we must push forward with our drive to be a sustainable industry and set standards that other industries can aspire to. This is about more than eliminating plastic straws and plastic coffee cups. The Green Meeting Standard is embedding sustainability in all its forms at the very heart of strategy and operations, which is why here at Visit Scotland, we're fully supportive of this initiative and why Visit Scotland has worked with green tourism over the last 25 years. The last 15 months, they have been tough, but they have forced a review of what business events truly means to society. We Visit Scotland, we believe it's more than just economic benefit. We believe that business events are drivers for positive change across society. We're bringing experts together, or in the case of COP26, world leaders together from a range of different fields and causes to meet face to face, can combat global challenges and make the lives of people in communities and across the world better. In 2019 and again in 2020, Visit Scotland business events conducted research with some of our top clients in North America, across the UK and in Europe to assess what factors are now considered important when choosing a destination. And now, technology pending, I would like to share a couple of those examples with you today. So I sincerely hope that you can see the UN sustainability goals on your screen at the moment. This is what we formed the questions that we asked our top clients. The first one that we looked at was asking the importance of a destination in addressing major international issues like climate change and like sustainability. Now that came up at 92% found it either important or very important. We also asked the importance in a destination being social mobility, social inclusion, education, and fairness of opportunity, where 96% of respondents said that it was either important or very important. We also asked the importance of a destination in being inclusive, being a welcoming place for all people, regardless of race, faith, gender, or sexuality, and 97% came back to say that that was either important or very important. Now, the thing about the UN sustainability goals and with all of these questions is that sustainability incorporates all of this. We need to be combating poverty, human rights, education, providing healthcare, to create equal opportunities in order to create sustainability and in order to combat climate change. And this is something which is really key with green tourism and the Green Meeting Standard, and it is incorporating all of this and how as an industry we're engaging with our local communities. The final question I'd like to just cover off was that we asked on the importance of a destination's commitment to legacy. And that came out at 80%, saying between important and very important. Now, the thing about this is that this went out to associations, corporate and the incentive clients. And legacy is traditionally associated more with the associations market, as they have been within that field for a number of years. But even prior to COVID-19, but completely zoomed up with COVID-19, the corporate incentive market, through our own research, our face-to-face and our meetings with clients, has really shown that the corporate incentive market are looking for that legacy aspect, that community engagement, that sustainability within their events and meetings, where they can engage with schools, students, industries. And that's now going to become at the forefront post-COVID for the entire meetings industry. We took out all of this information, all this data, and we created a new campaign for Visit Scotland business events, or for Scotland, for the business events sector, called Journey to Change. As I mentioned earlier, we truly believe that business events are a driver for positive change across all aspects of society, industry, and government. But change is an ever-evolving journey and one that never ends. So when you host a business event, from this perspective here in Scotland, but anywhere in the world, it is either the beginning or the continuation of a journey for positive change. The campaign is built on 3 different pillars, and that's business events are a platform for social and economic transformation, that business events are a spotlight for tackling global issues, and that business events are a voice for human rights. We launched this campaign back in March, and we launched it with 6 initial messages, which have been built on as the campaign progresses. I'll just share with you a couple of my favourites. We had Scotland is changing tomorrow by meeting today, and one of the case studies we showed that was Aileen and the whole team in Glasgow with World Down Syndrome Congress in 2018 created incredible public engagement, really raising the awareness of Down syndrome throughout the city. Scotland is a platform for global solutions. There's no better case study than COP26 taking place in November 2021. And one of my personal favourites, which is Scotland is putting human and ecological wellbeing first, inspired by the Wellbeing Economy Alliance, which Scotland is one of the founding members. And that's about transitioning all of society from being purely economic driven, but driven by putting people and planet first, just like Andrea said at the beginning of this event. Now, we created one of the first specific videos for the business events for a campaign from Scotland. Now, traditionally, we're looking at our hotels, our venues, our landscapes, our heritage and our culture, which are all incredibly important. We have world-renowned hotels, world-class conference centres, incredible venues, and I don't need to tell you about the landscapes. But we wanted to elevate that message to really showcase the purpose of business events.
Many journeys begin in Scotland, inspired by our pioneering spirit, our commitment to equality, and our constant strive in the pursuit for better. This is where minds meet. And the journey to change begins. When we bring scientists together, we find cures. When we bring world leaders together, we fight the climate crisis. When we bring big thinkers together, they arrive at the answer. And now, it's your turn. Our stages are set. Platforms for big ideas and new approaches. Our speakers amplify the opinions of brilliant minds. Our spotlights focus on the world's most pressing issues. Together, we have the power to change the world, and this is the place to make it happen. When the time is right, start the journey to change in Scotland.
One of the final things I will leave you with is that climate change and sustainability is not a competition. We are all in this together, and every destination, every venue, every hotel, every conference centre must be sustainable in order to sustain our very industry. This is the time now to collaborate. This is the time now to partner. This is the time now to share knowledge. The launch of this Green Meeting Standard could not be better, with COP26 taking place this year, Visit Scotland's own responsible tourism messaging, and the Scottish Government's Net Zero campaign, which launched last week. This is the time to make positive change and to secure our industry, and hopefully together we can all join this journey to change. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was very inspirational and some great information there, and really interesting to see the stats that Visit Scotland's managed to find out from the industry. Sort of reinforces the whole reason that this is something that needs to be done now. So thank you very much, Rory, for that. I'm going to move on to our next speaker now, who is our own MD, Scott McLean. He's going to share a few more details and specifics about the new Green Meeting Standard. Scott's been leading our team in developing this new standard and building relationships and partnerships within the meetings and venue sector. And I know he's delighted to be able to share the details of the standard here with you today. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Andrea, and good afternoon, everyone. The Green Tourism Standard has 25 years recognised the sustainability practices of meetings and event venues. Our gold, silver and bronze standards have, throughout this time, provided third-party assurance to buyers and are proudly displayed by over 2,500 businesses in 22 countries, including over 700 venues. The standard is displayed by a diversity of tourism businesses, including leading visitor attractions, restaurants, venues, and hotels. We asked Conor O'Neill, the Group General Manager at the Latta Hotel Group, what he thought about green tourism. Conor said the Green Tourism Standard enhances our RFP submissions and demonstrates to meetings and event buyers that we are serious about sustainability. Over 700 meetings and event venues are currently certified by the Green Tourism Standard. In 2001, we developed a specific assessment criteria for the sector. And the first venue to achieve this all those years ago was the Edinburgh International Conference Centre. We also work closely with convention bureaus and destinations to improve sustainability practices in their area. And now we're increasingly working with conference organisers to ensure that their event takes place at a venue which has achieved the Green Tourism Standard. Over the past 18 months, feedback has been stronger than ever from event organisers, corporates, venues, hotels and others. They want to benefit from the credibility of the Green Tourism Standard, and importantly, they want to demonstrate that the assessment and the standard achieved is meetings and events specific. So after 12 months in development, we are delighted to be here today with so many industry leaders and influencers to launch Green Meetings, the standard for meetings and events. So what's the process for a business to achieve the Green Meeting standard? First, let's have a look at the criteria. You'll see it's structured under 3 pillars of people, places, and planet, and that we use 15 goals to organise our 70 meeting-specific criteria points, all of which are aligned to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Now you'll see on screen, the people goals are focused around how you communicate and raise awareness with your delegates and staff, how you engage with your local community, how you promote health and well-being, and equality and diversity. The places goals are very focused on your venue, and that's around the catering, the travel, how you engage with delegates, and also how you engage with the destination which your venue is situated within. And the planet goals are very focused on energy, water, waste, including food waste, carbon reduction, and chemicals. Now let me introduce you to the GreenCheck Portal, which will help you prepare for your assessment at your own pace. The portal has an interactive dashboard and indicative real-time scoring as you work through. You may choose to work through all of the goals yourself, or using functionality which we have built into the portal, delegate specific goals to relevant colleagues in your business. To access the criteria at any time, simply click on the relevant goal. For example, if you were to click on the carbon goal, you would access the range of criteria associated with carbon reduction. For each criteria point, as you can see on screen, you will see an introduction to the criteria point, details of why taking action in this area is important, and the UN Sustainable Development Goals, which are aligned with this criteria point. As you work through the criteria, simply select the options which are most relevant to your business, and using the free text box, provide evidence for the assessor to review. This may be links to information on your website or further detail to help the assessor prepare for your assessment. Now, after you've worked through all of the goals, you can submit your annual assessment, which will then be conducted by our assessment team. Once you've clicked submit, a member of our technical team will be in touch. As part of the verification process, they will request supporting evidence and further information, time to set up a call, and if required, arrange a site visit. So let's now focus on how you can access support through the portal. For each criteria point, you can access further information by clicking on the I button. This includes background information, top tips, and links to other websites and resources which your team think will be helpful. Through our interactive query function, you can contact the assessment team and ask a question at any time. All questions and answers are stored in the portal for you to refer back to if required. And also, as you work through the portal, you have the opportunity to create an action plan which is bespoke to your business. The portal will suggest template actions based on your responses to the criteria. You can, of course, edit an action before adding it to your plan. And you can update your progress against each action throughout the year. You can also download, share, and print off the action plan as appropriate. And it's also important to say that as you work through the portal, all of your information is, of course, saved automatically. So moving on from the GreenCheck Portal, our technical support team has always been at the centre of our approach and our service. All assessors are trained to IEMA standards, and as well as conducting your assessment, are available year-round to support your business by answering queries, providing advice, training, and webinars. Their advice is based on over 25 years of best practice, and they have created hundreds of case studies, many of which can be accessed on our Knowledge Hub alongside a range of other helpful resources. So what does it mean if your venue has achieved the Green Meeting standard? It means it has been independently certified. That certification has taken place, and the assessment has taken place by third-party qualified assessors. It demonstrates that you're committed to continuous improvement and also annual regular reassessment. It also shows that you have achieved the label of choice for over 700 leading meetings and event venues. It's also important to note that we are committed to fair pricing. The prices are between £150 and £650 plus VAT per year, depending on the size of your business. We're providing an incentive for the first 100 venues to apply, with 50% off year one fees. It's also important to note that the Green Meeting standard will be included without charge in this year's fees to those who currently hold the Green Tourism standard. So what's the next steps? Please check out the Green Meetings page on our website. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to get in touch with us via email or give us a call. Once you're ready to progress, please just complete the application form which is on this page, and that is for new clients and also for current Green Tourism clients who want to also have the Green Meeting standard. For those who are currently Green Tourism clients and hold the standard, the assessor will conduct a review of your business, and after this review, you will be awarded the Green Meeting standard. For new clients, after initial payment, we will provide access to the GreenCheck Portal, where you can submit for an assessment. After our assessors go through this process, you will be awarded the Green Meetings standard. The final thing to say is, please do get in touch with us. We are constantly engaging with the industry, and we would love to hear from you. Now, earlier I shared that the EICC were the first venue to achieve the Green Tourism standard. I'm delighted to share that the EICC have now become the first venue to achieve the Green Meeting standard. It's my pleasure now to hand over to the EICC's Association Researcher, Green Champion and Lead on Sustainability, Aaron McKean, who will share details of the EICC's approach to sustainability. Thank you for joining us today, Aaron.
Thank you so much, Scott. Appreciate that. Yeah, 20 years we've been working with green tourism, which is, yeah, a long time. And I can say that it's been such a privilege working with you again on this Green Meetings, and fantastic to be receiving this award today. So thank you all so much. Look forward to another 20 years working in conjunction with you guys. For us, the Green Tourism Gold Award has been just such a useful tool in our arsenal when we're talking to clients and we're communicating with the public. More and more, we're finding that clients are discussing these issues with us, and more people are becoming aware of these issues. So there's never been a better time to get on board. Now, I am going to share my screen with you guys, and I'm going to give you a little update on what we've been doing in terms of our sustainability practices. So some of you guys might remember that we had a scheme called Planet Green. Now, this was an umbrella term that we used for some time, and it houses a lot of different schemes that the EICC has worked on over the years to do with sustainability, to do with well-being. I think many in the chat today might nod their heads when we talk about our carbon mitigation program, which in previous years was to do with tree planting, and particularly focused in the borders, working with a few charities. We'll touch back on this later on, but with the body of scientific evidence coming out, we think that this is maybe not the future for carbon mitigation programs, and we've had to adapt with the times. There's a lot of issues with non-Indigenous trees being planted, with the carbon sequestered not being quite where it needs to be, and with land that's not previously been forest being reforested. So yeah, well, that's just something we've looked at in our newest sustainability program. Of course, we also offered our wellness activities. This could be running tours of Edinburgh, of course, yoga, mindfulness, and always very proud to talk about our low plastic conferencing and our fantastic partners at the Compass Group, who, if you've not checked them out already, absolutely have a look at their really ambitious and forward-thinking approach to low carbon net zero. It's great stuff, so highly recommend you have a look at that. Of course, we're also always thinking about our energy efficiency and how we can improve this. Our building was built in the 90s, so there's not much we can do about that, but we have been incrementally changing the plant, the machinery, our lighting, our mechanisms for switching off lights when people aren't using the rooms, just to help save that energy. Of course, we're also very proud that around 1% of our waste is actually sent to landfill. Everything else is recycled at the EICC. So to action this, we put bins throughout the centre. We make sure that as much plastic as possible is sent to the correct place, and that we're reusing everything we can. And the Planet Green scheme itself was actually, perhaps a lot of you will recognise this from your own green programmes or from places you've worked previously. It was a regular meeting where we'd have representatives from sales and marketing, HR and operations team. And a few of these people would come together on a regular basis. They would work on these various schemes that we have going on, these programs, these projects. And then from there, they would be enacted and the information spread out to the wider team. So we've moved away from this, and while we're not scrapping anything that's come before, we have decided it's time for an evolution in our sustainability schemes. So welcome Step Change. Now this is arrived at in conjunction with Colin Brown, with his company ESG 360. And this is just a new way of ours considering our sustainability. So perhaps the most glaring difference is that we have completely opened the doors to the green meetings. So instead of just a few people from a few departments coming together, anyone from the organisation could come in and contribute to our green meetings. So of course, still people from sales and marketing like myself, operations and HR are still there, but we're finding that more and more people from our technical, freelance workers are coming into these meetings. We've had catering, so although not directly employed by the EICC, they're employed by the Compass Group. We have chefs coming in, we have waiters coming in. Also our casual staff, so this could be our part-time hosts or our floor service staff, and of course the leadership team. And one of the real benefits we've found of that is not only the amazing ideas that are brought up regularly, but the information is then spread directly back out into these teams. So we feel it's a really forward-thinking approach, and we feel that sustainability has become far more embedded. So rather than something that's happening over here with a small group of people, it's something that's happening throughout the organisation. Now, I'll just touch on a few of the main pillars of this programme, which are, of course, carbon mitigation, our desk-to-door policy, and event impact reporting. First of all, event impact reports. This is in response to a lot of feedbacks we've had from clients who are really trying to improve their own green credentials and how they communicate to their stakeholders or their suppliers. So we intend to create short post-event reports that will detail the environmental, the social and economical impact of said events. So when it comes to the environmental reporting, we can talk about waste management. As I said, only about 1% of our waste goes to landfill. The rest of it is all recycled or reused. So this is one thing that we can measure quite accurately and we can then give out to our clients. Of course, that includes our plastic use. And we can also measure our energy consumption. Our ambition is that this can help our clients with their ISO accreditations, can also just help them evaluate the sustainability practice at their next event and the event after that, and how their suppliers are approaching their sustainability. Now, also our economic impact. This is something we've become, I think, quite good at in the industry when communicating what the industry is worth, what the value of our industry is, because it's quite intangible. So of course we use our robust multiplier, and we can then provide that information to our clients who will be able to give a fairly accurate idea of what their event has generated. And of course, a lot more intangible, a lot more difficult to measure, but the social impact of these events that are being held at the EICC. This could be along the lines of charitable events that have been running concurrently. It could be donations. It could also be involved with our public outreach event, EICC Live. So these are all things we hope to be listing in this event impact reports. Next up, our desk-to-door policy. This deals with how people are arriving at the EICC. Of course, people are still going to fly, but when people are within the UK, we do encourage them to travel with LNER, who we have partnered with. Who can now offer a fantastic discount to anyone traveling to the EICC, and who have just launched a fleet of hybrid trains, which I believe are some of the most sustainable in the UK in operation right now. So just actively promoting that and trying to get people to consider how they get to the EICC, ideally not driving. When you do arrive in Edinburgh, we're hoping that you use Central Taxis, who we've been working with for a long, long time. They have been a carbon neutral company for over 10 years, and they offer such really quite technical, quite advanced systems for rerouting cars to your position or to cab share and things like that. And of course, Edinburgh Trams, which is an inherently sustainable mode of transport. We've also partnered with Just Eat, and we've installed a bunch of the Just Eat cycles just outside of the conference centre. So delegates at the EICC can borrow one of these bikes and take a little look around our wonderful city. And whenever possible, we're always looking to ask people to walk. We are around 10 minutes away from the castle, 5 minutes from Haymarket. We're in the hustle and bustle of Edinburgh's West End financial districts. It's a fantastic place to go and explore. So at every opportunity, we really do encourage people to get out and use their legs to explore the area. Finally, moving on to perhaps the keystone piece in our step change. It's carbon mitigation. So as I mentioned earlier, we were supporting some programs which were planting trees. And we felt that it's time for a new, fresher approach. And this is to support some of the charities who are working on carbon mitigation through restoration of peatlands, particularly in the Flow Country in the north of Scotland. There's a few reasons for this. Well, for one, carbon capture of these peat bogs is around 4 times more than regular carbon sequestering programs such as tree planting. We also find that these damaged peat bogs, there's a two-pronged approach to this. These damaged peat bogs actually emit a lot of greenhouse gases and CO2 into the atmosphere. So by restoring this area, not only are you capturing carbon for the future, but you're stopping that emission over a period of time. It's also a very longitudinal approach because it does take some time for this to start paying back. In terms of protecting the people and the communities around these areas, it does prevent flood as well, as you can imagine, like a sponge, soaking up the water, slowing the flow and stopping damage to communities. And of course, these places are incredibly biodiverse. If you've never been to Caithness and Sutherland, I highly recommend it. Just go and have a look at the incredible wildlife that are living in this area. It is truly Scotland's rainforest. Now, that was just a brief snapshot of what we're doing just now in terms of sustainability. Always delighted to talk about that. And as Rory mentioned earlier on about collaboration and partnering, we're always wanting to work with our colleagues, with our friends around the country. So please do get in touch if there's anything at all we can help with. So now I'll hand back to Andrea, and thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you very much. That was really interesting to hear about all the amazing things that EIC has been doing. So even though you achieved gold 20 years ago, you didn't stop, continually looking, continually improving. And we will share your slides with everybody after the events. So that was great. Thank you so much for that inspiring presentation on what the EICC is doing. I want to just move on now. That's all our speech, our talks, if you like, about green meetings. I've got a couple of questions. Can the panel come back so we can see you, please? One was for Aileen, actually. Aileen, people want to know, how are the members of the Convention Bureau able to share their sustainability credentials with their clients and win more conference business?
Yes, of course. Thank you very much for the question, Andrea. So the fundamental point with the Glasgow Convention Bureau website is that we added in a new feature this year, and it allows clients to choose venues and suppliers that are a green business. So if you are a green business and you are working with the Convention Bureau, then please do let us know, check your information on our site, make sure that we are linking out to your sustainable policy or information on your website. And that means that you will come up when the client is going to do a venue search or a supplier search. So that's an important addition. There's also ways of getting in touch with your case studies and stories that can go onto People Make Glasgow Greener. So we love to share information through the social media or trade press, and it's about highlighting the case studies and great stories that are the broadest sustainable stories that you've got, so we can help share those out across the industry as well. And I suppose there's also being able to include information when we come out to ask for a request for proposal from clients. Please make sure that you highlight as much of your sustainable story as possible, because clients are very much looking for that. So if you don't fill that in, then you may be missing an opportunity to win this valuable conference business. So please do include that in your RFP to us. Hope that helps, Andrea.
Great, thank you, Aileen. That was very good. And I've got one for Rory as well, which is, what are Visit Scotland seeing internationally in the industry around sustainability?
Well, I think internationally, this is, as it's been mentioned a couple of times over the course of this event, that sustainability has been on the cards for a good number of years. However, it's come to the forefront in the last 2 or 3 years, and particularly over COVID-19. One thing is that there are some destinations doing incredibly well. I can talk about there's Copenhagen, which are renowned for their sustainability credentials. But one thing that I personally feel and that we have seen as a team is that there's a lot of talking about sustainability, and now is the time to take that off stage and actually practically implement that within our day-to-day lives. Otherwise, whoever doesn't is going to fall behind, and we need to be doing things like the Green Meeting Standard in order to get everybody sustainable. So that's kind of one of the things, that this is going to become more and more and more, and we all need to drive forward and be seen to be collaborating and to partner so that we can all join this journey together and get to the same points at the same time. So as I mentioned previously, we have to all be sustainable in order to combat climate change.
Brilliant, thanks Rory, that's great. And just one question from Joe Hendricks about single-use plastic, not surprisingly. So Joe's asked, understanding that obviously the standard goes beyond just straws and coffee cups, but because of COVID, which has significantly contributed to an increase in single-use plastic, do we see an issue in encouraging reusable products over single-use products? I think there's a big debate, Joe, as you and I often have at World Travel Market, around the whole thing about single-use, reduction of plastics, and COVID has not helped. And I think we've all seen that with seeing face masks in the street, in the parks, and the rivers. And that's something that as a society we're going to have to massively address. Obviously, we need to also follow the guidelines for health reasons and to stop the spread. But I think it's something that's going to be an ongoing debate in the industry going forward, looking for alternatives that are biodegradable, but still provide the health protection, and does not use the plastics, and having reusable products that also have a lower impact. So great question, Joe, thanks for that. I think what we'll do is we'll do a wrap, because if no more questions, I think we've covered an awful lot. I'd like to thank the panelists. Fantastic to hear from Aileen and what's happening in Glasgow. Really great to get the bigger picture from Visit Scotland and that whole campaign, which sounds amazing. And Aaron, great to see that things are, constantly improving in EICC. And thanks to Scott for very, very succinctly explaining how the Green Meeting Standard works. I'm hoping that we engage with everybody who's in the audience. We've had over 100 people attend today, which is fantastic. And we hope that they'll catch up with us. We will be in touch with everybody after the event to get feedback and to pass on the presentations as well. So thank you, everybody, and have a good day. Cheers. Bye.